This is Michael Luchies from the Collegiate Entrepreneurs Organization, and today I'm joined by entrepreneur Mark Altman. Mark, thanks a lot for joining me.
No problem, Michael. Anytime.
Tell us a little bit about Mindset Go.
Mindset Go is designed to be a company that centers around mentoring, teaching, and strategy. We try to work with companies, young companies, startup companies, and even college and high school students on issues of business management, sales, customer service, and investment guidance. And basically anything that has to do with the entrepreneurial spirit, I would say, essentially. But that's our kind of our mission at Mindset Go.
So how do you set yourself apart from other consulting companies?
I think there's two areas, Michael, where we set ourselves apart. I think the first one is customer service. I learned throughout my career that you can overcome a lot with great customer service. And we certainly try to be available all the time for our customers, promptly returning calls, emails, things like that. I think that's critical. But even as important as that, I would say, is giving your customer value, and what I refer to as tangible value. I think there's a lot of companies out there that offer different kinds of services and things that are more fluff related. And when we sit down and work with our clients, I think they know that when they're utilizing our services, they have something they can clearly point to that has a return on their investment for what they're using us for. To a fellow young entrepreneur, what advice would you give to make something, to provide extra tangible value? To provide extra tangible value? Well, I think that you have to be very specific in understanding what the customer wants. And a lot of good service is listening skills. And I think if you can ascertain very clearly what the customer's goals are and what they're trying to accomplish, that in turn should allow you to lay out some very specific and tangible goals. And it's got to be something that both sides can point to at the end of the relationship, no matter how long the relationship is. And I often tie it in, Michael, with the sentence of the customer should be able to be having dinner with my company, Mindset Go, 5 years from when the relationship started, and should be able to complete the sentence, I'm glad I chose Mindset Go to help me because of blank. And they should very easily be able to fill the because of if the tangible goals were laid out properly.
With a service-based business, is there a lot of difference for providing that tangible value than a product-based business?
I think so. Products are pretty cut and dry. I mean, if I'm buying any kind of product on the market, then I presumably have a pretty good idea. But I think service-based products, can get a little ambiguous. And I think a lot of the specificity and tangible nature is, again, it's really the communication around understanding what the client wants and the client needs.
Great. On behalf of Collegiate Entrepreneurs Organization, I want to thank you for agreeing to speak at the 2014 CEO National Conference in Orlando. What are you planning on sharing with the students and entrepreneurs in attendance?
Well, I think I'm going to focus, Michael, on coming up with innovative ideas and how to differentiate them. And the plan would also be to talk a bit about how to execute those ideas once they've been created and differentiated. Differentiation to me is probably the word among all other words that I talk to college students and high school students and even adult businesses all the time. And I really think that and since we're talking about the collegiate organization, I really believe that it's one thing to be able to differentiate your company and your product and or your service. But I think it's another thing to properly assess through market research and competitive analysis how to validate those theories. And so I think, my plan would be to really impart my experience and wisdom on how to differentiate, validating the differentiation, and the execution of those ideas.
Why would you recommend young students and entrepreneurs attend events like the CEO National Conference?
Well, I'll be honest, Michael. This is my first conference. However, I have researched the organization, and I've certainly explored the website a bit, and I've been impressed with the feedback from the students. And I think what really attracted me to CEO was it's such an opportunity that CEO is providing to college students and mentors, frankly. And that's, as I've kind of matured in my growth professionally, this is something I really want to be a part of what I do, because I think it's an opportunity for me to give back. But I would tell college students that it's a tremendous resource available for them to further their career, their entrepreneurial idea, or just flat out network. So I think there's multiple benefits that they get from being a part of the conference and the organization itself.
Great. Now, you're a strong proponent of collaboration. What would your advice be to solo entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs just getting their feet wet on utilizing the help of others?
It's funny. The term, you said solopreneur, correct?
Correct.
Yes. The term solopreneur, I think, is kind of an interesting term because it implies going about it yourself. And, I have shared an expression, a pretty common, well-known expression, that it's the expression of "it never hurts to ask." And I think that expression has served me well personally and professionally throughout my life. Solopreneurs don't necessarily need to have other employees with them to grow their business. The presumption is that they have the expertise to do it themselves, hence why they're called solopreneurs. However, every entrepreneur, solopreneur has strengths and weaknesses. In aligning yourself with talented and available colleagues, as well as taking advantages of organizations like CEO or like the Small Business Association, can really only help your cause. So, to me, I guess the way I look at it as, solopreneurs shouldn't be about trying to do it yourself. It's more you have the ability to do it yourself, but you don't have to because of all the resources and people available.
Once again, this is Michael Luchies from CEO with Mark Altman. You're also a freelance sports reporter. Have you always spread your time among multiple endeavors? And if so, do you believe that's a natural part of being an entrepreneur?
Michael, I really have. I've never been able to sit still. I do think it's a natural part of being an entrepreneur. And it's funny because people have always teased me throughout my life because I don't drink coffee or take stimulants or things like that, but I always seem to have an endless amount of energy. And I do think it's important. I think by being involved in different endeavors, it's an opportunity to keep your mind sharp. You meet people in different industries and different walks of life. And I think the more interaction you have, specifically in-person interaction, it opens more doors. It just ultimately creates more opportunities. And probably one of the single biggest lessons I've learned in my career is that to not underestimate the value of a relationship, regardless of big or small, because you never know when something will happen. And I've had plenty of situations where someone or a company I've partnered with or aligned myself with didn't seem like much of anything, and it turned itself into something pretty large and substantial. So that would be what I would say.
What's your best piece of advice for young entrepreneurs?
My best piece of advice, it's funny, Michael, I don't know if you're familiar, I'm sure you probably are, there's a TV show called Survivor, that I'm a fan of. And the theme of Survivor is outplay, outwit, outlast. And I think that's a very telling slogan because I actually see that as a microcosm of life. I think when you decide to go into business for yourself, there's so few businesses that actually make it. And then even the ones that make it, there's so much fewer that actually evolve into any more than a lifestyle business. And I think because of that, you have to be willing to work harder than your competitors and put in those long hours of time and effort. You just have to. And hard work does pay off a lot more often than not. I think you have to outwit the competition. I think you can't be ruled by emotion. And I think one of the things entrepreneurs tend to forget is the reason they got where they are is because they have a savvy and a skill set that got them to a certain point. And if you let emotion rule the day, then that can supersede your strengths. And lastly, just be outlast. And I think that, like I mentioned a minute ago, there are so many ups and downs. And you can't waste time or energy because you don't want to stick with an idea if it's not meant to be. However, riding the waves of a small business, knowing that they're going to be waves, and having a thick skin are coping mechanisms. I think being able to cope and know what you got yourself into would be a huge asset for young entrepreneurs.
Great. And how can people find out more information about you and Mindset Go?
Michael, this about me, I'm certainly on LinkedIn. You can check in my profile. Check out my profile on LinkedIn. I'm in the process of building my website, and I can happily say that part of the reason that isn't completed yet is because I've been spending so much time with college students and high school students and helping and mentoring them, and happy that that's a byproduct of that. And basically my email address is maltman, all one word, at mindsetgo.com. And you can always reach me on my cell at 978-793-1159. And, Michael, I appreciate the opportunity to be a part of CEO. Like I said, I think it's a tremendous organization, and I'm happy to help anybody who's interested.
Great. And thanks again for your time, and we look forward to seeing you at the 2014 CEO National Conference.
Sounds great. Thank you very much.